What's up, everyone? It's Chicks in the Office with Rhea and Fran, giving you that Friday energy on a Wednesday, middle of the week. Hopefully everyone is having an amazing week. And if you're not, we're here to cheer you up. This podcast is presented by Pepsi Wild Cherry. We have our Pepsi Wild Cherry Zero Sugar sitting next to us at all times during the studio, especially during lunch hour, whatever time that may be. Yep. You're like, I want a little refreshing treat. I just grab my Pepsi Wild Cherry, bring it over to my desk. Sometimes I pour it on some ice and I get a little wild. It is refreshing, it's tasty, and it gives you that little wild that you need in your life, whether that's at lunch, at dinner, maybe you're staying in this weekend, you want to watch TV all weekend and just sit with a Pepsi Wild Cherry. I don't blame you because I want to do the same exact thing. So get a little wild and grab your Pepsi Wild Cherry.
Even just a little Pepsi Wild Cherry happy hour, perhaps,
Right.
Come home from work, sit on the couch, crack open a nice cold soda.
Right, in a nice fancy little glass with some ice. Ooh, nothing better.
Yep.
So get wild, grab your Pepsi Wild Cherry. How we doing today? How we feeling?
Great. I'm tired.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm good.
Good. We have more travel coming up. We're headed to New Orleans.
Yep.
New Orleans this week. It's always confusing. Is it New Orleans? Is it New Orleans? People are like,
right?
oh.
I have always said New Orleans, but my dad, people say New Orleans, and I'm like, which one is correct?
Sometimes New Orleans does come out of my mouth, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. It is confusing.
New Orleans.
Right. Some people are like, oh, NOLA.
Yeah.
You're not going to catch me saying that because it doesn't feel natural because I'm not from there.
Yeah.
But we're excited for that, excited for the show on Thursday. But we do have topics to get into, and I feel like
Bring your signs, peeps.
Oh, yeah, bring your signs. Trent is the special guest, which I'm so excited about because we haven't done a live show with Trent in a little bit.
It's been a while.
And
we haven't seen Trent in a while. He's been busy.
Right, exactly. So we'll get to spend some time with him. Hopefully we'll get some funny stories from that. But I feel like our head is on the topics right now because everybody's talking about Kate Middleton. Everybody's talking about a lot of things. The Bachelor just happened. So I think we're just going to get right into the topics because I think we have a lot to say about all of them.
I agree.
Number one, starting with the Kate Middleton picture, the farm shop. That was released right after, or the video was released right after we recorded on Monday.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, fuck, we got to talk about this. The Quiet on Set Max documentary about Nickelodeon and the abuse that went on there. We're going to talk about that. Aaron Taylor Johnson seems like he's going to be the new James Bond, allegedly. Also want to throw on new host of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Travis Kelce on Prime Video. Apparently that's happening. And we are going to recap The Bachelor Women Tell All, which got spicy.
Yeah, definitely. Women Tell All, and we did get to see how the end of the last week ended.
Thank God, because if we had to wait, it would be.
Thank God. I know. I thought that they were going to make us wait all the way to the finale, but they did kind of split it in half, so that was good.
So let's get into the topics. So this video is released of Kate Middleton and William at the farm shop right after we record.
Yeah.
First, it's the TMZ picture. Then it's the video.
Yep.
At this shop. Now, where do you stand on this? Where do you stand now? I want everybody's thoughts.
I went back. I still am. Mm-hmm. I still am. And I will say I am easily swayed in this scenario. Like one TikTok video, I'm like, it's not her. Another TikTok video, I'm like, oh, it is her. I open my messages. Girls are like, it's totally her, like explaining different theories. And then I'm like, oh, that does make sense. And now I feel like an asshole. Like there's like all these things. But then I see some videos that I'm just like, damn, that does make sense. That's like, I'm like, how is that her then? It's like one girl was comparing their heights and was like, look at this picture of Will and Kate. And she is in heels. And look where she falls on William. And now these people at the farm shop, she's in flats, like she's in, and she seems taller than the other picture. So and every little thing is being analyzed. People are like, why are there Christmas decorations up in the background? Is this just an old video? Is this them from a different time period? I saw a girl on TikTok, a British girl, who was like, you Americans think like the royal families do their own shopping. Like they don't just go to the grocery store.
That's a good point.
Like
I'm like, why? Especially now, they're gonna go out.
There's so many things being thrown around, and then I feel like an asshole because there are also a lot of people saying that, and this would I would feel terrible if this was the case, that Kate has suffered from an eating disorder, and that is what the hidden abdominal surgery was. Like, they had labeled it an abdominal surgery, and she has lost all this weight, and now she is out afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, if that, like, what, but it's just like, how are there so many different theories and ideas being thrown around? Because then you look at the picture, that's, the picture, if that was her in the car a week and a half ago, those are two wildly different people.
Yeah. So the first two pictures that were released in the last 2 weeks, I was like, that's not her.
Yeah.
This picture, without seeing a single comment from anybody, I was like, that's her.
Yeah.
Like, before seeing any opinion from anybody and watching the video, in my head I go, oh, that's Kate. There she is. I'm still, now it's weird because I'm on the opposite side of where I originally was, where I actually do think this video is Kate Middleton. Like, I
feel like I'm going crazy.
Trust me, because I was on the side of like, that's not Kate.
No.
And now I'm on the opposite side of like, that is clearly Kate Middleton.
I feel like I'm just going crazy because they also just look like, they kind of look young. Like, I was like, am I watching a video of the Lifetime movie of Will and Kate? Like, that this is, because Will looks younger too somehow.
What people need to start doing is when they de-blur the picture and they use AI to de-blur the picture, right? And there's Kate.
Yeah.
Do the same thing to Will. Because I bet if you do the same thing to Will, his face is also going to come out different.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily trust I did AI to find out what this picture would look like unblurred, and this is not Kate's face.
Yeah,
and
I don't buy that either, because and the picture comes out looking ridiculous.
Yeah, the picture's distorted.
Yeah.
So, and if you're gonna do that to Kate's face, do it to Will's face too, because then if Will's face looked exactly like Will, then maybe we have something there. But you're not doing both, so it's confusing.
It is, and it just feels like some things aren't adding up. Like, I just don't know. Like, what? And
somebody did post.
She's carrying like a heavy bag, like a heavy shopping bag. It's like, oh, did she just have abdominal surgery and she's like carrying like a heavy grocery bag?
Yeah, Will's making her carry her own bag.
Exactly.
That's crazy. I did see somebody post that shop still has their Christmas decorations up.
So I've seen it go back and forth though. I've seen some people say yes and some people say no.
Oh my God.
Like, it's just like nobody, like.
My thing is like, they know what's going on. Everyone is like hyper analyzing everything they do. Why would they, like, I don't get the thinking or the logic of like, okay, let's just go like to the shop like everything's normal.
Right. Yeah.
And then like nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
And nobody's gonna swarm them.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it looks like there's no security there or anything. Yeah. That's where I start going, because by the looks of it, I did think it's Kate Middleton. But now that we're talking about it, I still think it's Kate Middleton, but I'm just confused about everything else about it. It's like, when was this, was this actually recent or was this an old video? Because it would be kind of strange that out of all places, they're like, we're going to head to the farm shop.
Yeah. And did they not take people's phones away? And there was only one video that was
and there's plenty of people around.
Yeah. Like no one was one was acting like they were there.
Right. Everybody wants to know where Kate is, and everyone's just acting nonchalant that Kate's right in front of their face. Unless we're in the wrong parts. And maybe in America, we all want to know where Kate is, but they're like, oh, Kate's right there.
Yeah,
maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe wherever they are, they're like, guys, you're being silly. Kate's right here.
I'm just starting to think that we're just all, like, we've all also just become the asshole that, like, is picking apart a woman that just got some sort of serious surgery.
Right.
And it's like, and your like, nobody looks the same. Your body changes after surgery, especially if you've been bedridden or what kind of surgery it was or what it means. And maybe maybe they did label it abdominal surgery and it is something else, and there's something they just don't want to be honest about what it actually is. But like the talk and the fodder and the outside noise and all the TikToks, the videos, the theories has made everybody go nuts that we're kind of like taking out any human aspect in this story, like, at all.
But they
where
can
it's
put it all to
crazy,
rest.
where it's like,
By
no,
just,
I
like,
know, but
coming
why?
out.
But it's like she could, but it's like also why should she? Like if Kate really is, if she really is struggling, and it is something that's what is happening, then it's like she's like, why do I have to make a statement about
Or, like,
this?
Will could maybe, like, I don't know. She doesn't have to come out, but, like, or someone says something of, like,
Or maybe they just want to keep their, she's like, this is my health. I don't need to be,
Yeah.
I don't need to tell everyone
when
what's
it's
going on.
spiraling like it is.
No,
like,
it's completely spiraled out of control. But that's what I'm saying, and I really, because then and then I see these other conspiracies, TikToks. I mean, it's crazy because even I'm contradicting myself, right? Like I'm going back and forth, but that's how I feel like my brain, I just have to, there's this stream of consciousness of what has been going through my brain literally all day Monday as I watched the video a million times and was looking at the TikToks and everything of me being like, this feels wrong that I'm even doing this. And then like they're coming up on my For You page. It's unavoidable.
do you think that they've had doppelganger, doubles before?
Yes.
Like I would like
they've
to,
used like in the past, like
I
for
think
no reason
for
other
maybe like safety purposes, perhaps, yes.
see, that's just a crazy world to me. Like I would say no, but I guess this is a world I'm not familiar with, so like maybe they would have to. It is sad to think about though that there
But
is
like, that's crazy too.
that there could be plenty of different health reasons as to why somebody's body changes. Like there's a never-ending list, and if like Kate is dealing with something, or maybe she's not dealing with something, and everyone is speculating, and maybe she's just fine. But I think because they are not like your modern day celebrity and they are royals, they don't know how to address this to the public.
Right.
Because if this was just like if this was like one of the Kardashians, eventually Khloe or Kim is popping onto their story to be like, hey guys, this is what's happening. Even if it's a fake story, even if they're feeding us bullshit, they're gonna say something. But because they're royals, they don't handle things the same way like
no, they don't.
Celebrity
which is why
would.
it's
So that's
just-
why everyone's losing their mind, because they do in this day and age now with TikTok and everything. I feel like it has spiraled even more, that people feel like they have access to people's lives when like maybe we shouldn't feel that way to this extent, and people like need answers or they can't sleep at night. And this is now where we're at. I mean, Andy Cohen even tweeted last night, like, that ain't Kate.
I know.
You got
I feel
everybody
extremely
chiming in.
conflicted.
Yeah.
I really do, because I really have always been a Kate Middleton gal. I've always really liked Kate Middleton. And it's just like unavoidable to see all these conversations that are happening. And I hope that she is okay. But it's just, I mean, it's nonstop. It is
nonstop.
Crazy.
And John Mayer said something like this when he used to do his Current Mood Instagram lives. He said, like, we were never supposed to have this much access to everybody at all times. And that is the quote that I feel during this very moment of like, yes, everybody's always cared about celebrities and royals, but, people maybe talks amongst friends in real life about it. But on the online chatter becomes a life of its own.
Also,
And
now
I
with
really
like
have-
AI, you don't know what's real.
Yeah.
Right, like
and I've
things
just
are
never
deep
seen
fake, like
totally.
it can just spread like wildfire.
I know. People were like, of all outlets to get this exclusive, do you think the royals would be giving it to like TMZ and The Sun? Like if they like had a planned thing where they were like going to go out and be spotted. And then it's also like, in what world do they think they were going to go to the shop, like to the shops, and not be photographed or not someone see them?
Do you think there's a world where that's the real Will, but it's not the real Kate? Like, I don't think he's just going out with some fake person. Like, it's either both of them or it's neither of them.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree
like
with
it's either
that.
doubles, people who are just pretending to be them,
Yep.
or it's them.
It's just so like Kate, and
looks,
it's because
and
the
if
two
it's Kate
sides
in that video, she looks happy as can be.
the two sides are so strong, where rarely do you have something that is being publicly debated like this, that it's so like, it is not her and here's 10 reasons why, and it is her and here's 10 reasons why, and they both make sense.
Yeah, and I do think that there's a couple of different reasons as to why people are going so hard on the like it's not her train. I think that one being gossip. Everybody finds this interesting, and I think it could be dangerous because it gets to a point where it's like, do people want there to be something wrong? Right, because it proposes that question for like a gossip thing. And then I think there are truthfully people who are like, no, there's something going on that we need to be alarmed, and that's not her. And people are like dead set on like they are hiding something and they want to get to the bottom of it because they're actually fearful for like her life.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, we have Russians saying that King Charles is dead.
Right. I mean,
Right.
it's just like the deep, honestly, like deep royal conspiracies too, when it just comes to like the inner workings of the family. And then there are the people who it's just like, well, hold on a second. Like, let's just, if we do try and look at what has been given to us at face value, it wouldn't be that crazy. Like if it was like, hey, she did have to get some kind of surgery. I guess the thing is if there was anytime that there is not necessarily like half truths being told, then the gossipers want to find the other side of it. Like if it was if they're labeling it a like root like a abdominal surgery, but not really saying like why or what was going on, like then that's when the gossipers take that fuel and they say, oh my God, she must have this problem or this problem or this problem or this problem. And then it just like snowballs, and now here we are. It's like how did we even get to this point? So yeah, it's been crazy. And even just like posting about it on Monday and going back, like even just my DMs, I'm like, it's every other message, it just alternates. It's somebody being like, it is her, here's why I think so. And I'm like, okay. And the next one's like, it's totally not her. Here's like, I'm like, oh my God, it's nobody. There's so many different stories going around. And yeah, it's a lot of speculation on one person's health, that's for sure.
How old is their oldest child? Like old enough to like know what's going on, or
he's probably pushing 10 would be my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they're like on the internet.
Do they go to school? It's like, hey, so where's your mom?
He's 10?
Yeah. Like I don't know how much they're like.
I'm sure that they aren't like on the internet that much. They're probably.
Yeah, I mean they don't. I bet you they don't have phones.
Yeah, and I don't think they go to like school. Like I think they're homeschooled. Like somebody comes to that. Of course.
I don't know. I
don't
see
know.
Like a fancy school.
They go to school. I would.
You think
this
they
is a
go to
Kardashian
school?
conversation all over again.
Yeah, Prince William and Harry did.
Right, but I feel like we're living in different times.
Yeah, but I think they still go to school. Like,
damn, that's wild.
You know, like William, they all went to whatever it is, like grade school, and then they went to Eton.
Do royal kids go to school? All three children currently attend Lambrook School in the Berkshire countryside. Yeah. The prep school is one of the top schools in the UK.
Wow,
there you go.
That's crazy.
Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Imagine they're just in your class and you're like,
right, that's
all this
like,
is going on. Like the teachers are probably like, so.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're also at a school where there's probably other like
famous people.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. Like think about when Will and Harry were in school. Like, you know, they went to. Yeah, they went to university. Like the
Obamas like went to school.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I guess it's better to go to school and like try to live a normal life. Yeah. But I would just assume
get some real friends.
Homeschooled. But yeah, it's wild, and every day there'll be something new about this for sure. Right now, I'm in a full Abercrombie outfit. Of course, I got my t-shirt from Abercrombie, my pants are from Abercrombie, everything we've been rocking lately, Abercrombie on our tours, our travel outfits, our show outfits, and now we have even more exciting news. Abercrombie is launching a wedding shop. It's got everything, tons of dresses, jumpsuits, pants, swimsuits, pajamas, pantsuits, and all perfectly curated for different events, bachelorettes, brunches, showers, ceremonies as a guest, ceremonies as a bride, reception, and even honeymoon. It is all incredible. Whether you're attending a wedding or you're hosting a wedding or just want to look amazing, you have to check out the Abercrombie Wedding Shop on Abercrombie.com. Whether you're attending a wedding or hosting a wedding, like I said, or just want to look amazing, you have to check out the Abercrombie Wedding Shop on Abercrombie.com. Moving on, the Quiet on Set documentary has been released on Max. There's currently 4 episodes out now. It's extremely unsettling, this documentary.
And you watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I watched the first.
I have not watched it.
I watched the first 2. 3 and 4 got released late last night, so I haven't watched those, but I'm caught up on what was said in those 2 episodes. You know, for years, I remember even in high school, there started to be YouTube videos about Dan Schneider and how much of a creep he is, and you know, all these different clips of different scenes from Nickelodeon shows, you know, the classic feet stuff, the inappropriate jokes of like, this is coming from the documentary itself. Like, I'm not just saying that, like cum shot jokes that were made for kids, basically.
I saw that
like
clip.
A lot of like splatter on the face and things that look like penises and a lot of things that, you know, as an adult you come to realize like, oh, that's extremely wrong. This whole documentary, it's just disgusting what some of these people were put through. I think right now people are focusing a lot on what happened with Drake Bell. When he was a kid and when he was 15 years old, there was a coach who worked at Nickelodeon, Brian Peck, who sexually abused Drake Bell, and he's in this documentary talking about it, and he was convicted. He did go to jail, not for a very long time, and it was never mentioned who the person was. It was just like a child actor. Turns out that child actor was Drake Bell. Drake's dad talked about what had happened to him, Joe Bell, because he was Drake's manager, and he was on set for these shows and saw the way Brian Peck like treated.
No relation to Josh Peck.
No relation. Brian Peck has no relation to Josh Peck, and saw the way that he treated Drake, you know, like caressing his shoulders, putting his hands on his hips, and had mentioned that he didn't like what was going on there, and then Joe Bell, Drake's dad, was slowly getting pushed out. And Brian Peck made Drake feel like his dad was wrong. And basically, you know, Drake went to go stay by his mom's. This is like a summarized version of what happened. Drake went to go stay by his mom's, and then Drake's mom called Drake's dad to be like, yeah, Drake doesn't want you to be his manager anymore, because Brian had been putting these things in Drake's ear that his dad was bad. And like, it's really because he wanted to take advantage of Drake, sadly. And so, you know, Joe, Drake's dad, you know, had warned everyone, like, I think this guy's creepy, blah, blah, blah. And nobody listened to him. He got pushed out. He wasn't allowed to, you know, be Drake's manager anymore. All this sad shit happened to his dad. And just so this man can take advantage of Drake. Absolutely disgusting. And now Drake is talking about this in the documentary because, like I said, it was like an unnamed case. Like, it was child actor, didn't name Drake. What's now, obviously, it's disgusting and it's horrible. And the fact that this happened to Drake, I can't even imagine how many other people it happened to. In the documentary itself, they even name other kids who had experiences with another guy, Jason Handy. He worked on the Amanda Show. He exchanged emails with a young girl who had been like cast in all that for one of the episodes. Exchanged emails with her. Her mom thought that was like a good thing, like, oh my god, my daughter wants to be an actor. She gets cast on her favorite show for an episode. Now she's getting in with the people that work on the show. At first the emails were, you know, she thought they were fine, and then one day her daughter like shut her computer down, ran out of the room. Come to find out, this man, Jason Handy, was sending this young girl pictures of himself masturbating. Then later to find out, they found thousands of child porn images on his computer. They found Ziploc bags with girls' names on it, that from things that they own. Really just disgusting stuff from a lot of the people that worked at Nickelodeon. And now the stuff that happened with Drake is absolutely sickening and vile. And then it brings up what happened with Drake in 2017, and then he went to trial in 2021 for what happened between Drake Bell and another young girl. He had been messaging who was 15.
Underage.
She was underage, and he did get sentenced to 2 years of probation, and then it was like a delayed jail sentence.
Yeah.
So it's obviously what happened to Drake is fucking horrible and disgusting, and to all the kids that suffered the abuse at the hands of like the people that work at Nickelodeon is I can't even find words for it. It's just really unsettling and disgusting. And then at the same time, you think about what happened with Drake a couple years ago, and it's also disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, it does kind of go back to what we touched on a little bit on Monday. I mean, we were talking about something totally different, but like the trauma can come back around in different ways. And he did address it in the documentary. He, said that Drake said, I took responsibility for that. I did what was asked of me, but the media grabbed a hold of so much misinformation and it absolutely destroyed me. And I started to spin out of control. If I had continued down that path, that could very likely be the end of my story. Bell said that his trajectory improved when he eventually sought help. I was at rock bottom. And so I checked into treatment, and I got to go through a lot of trauma therapy, a lot of grief therapy, and be surrounded by people who, for the first time in a long time, wanted to just see me get better. Bell was also accused of physical and verbal abuse by an ex-girlfriend in 2020. He denied those allegations at the time, but there was no explicit mention of them in the documentary. So there's just been a couple things. Obviously, that Drake's thing was his response to the case against him in 2017, and obviously in 2021 he did plead guilty to was a felony charge of attempted child endangerment and a misdemeanor charge of disseminating matter harmful to juveniles. So it's like it's hard to wrap your mind around it, because you think how does that happen, right? But it's just there's such a psychological element that is way above my pay grade,
Right,
I just
that
don't.
we can't even speak on because we're not familiar with, and that's why it's hard to talk about, because I do want to be cautious and be sensitive to this sort of topic.
It's just as people, like for the two of us, it's hard, and because you look at these, you hear these stories and you hear from the parents, and you're like, oh God, like how could these parents have let this happen and all these things? And it's just like truly at the time, I'm sure these parents in these situations, you want to assume the best of people, and no one's brain was going right to like, oh, these people work in young programming, television programming, like let's make sure we look into them and make sure that they're okay. You make assumptions that you sadly can't make.
Exactly, because their mind, like they work with kids, they must be all these things.
Look at all these other successful kids that are on the show and no one has any issues, so it must be okay.
It's so sad, and my heart breaks for all the people who endured any sort of abuse that went on here. I mean, even the two women who spoke about being writers at Nickelodeon, first of all, the fact that they had to split their salary was fucking insane. So Nickelodeon was, predominantly male writers. They said back then sketch comedy, it was always like male writers. It was hard to be a woman who breaks into that scene. And these two women were both offered the job as a writer on The Amanda Show. But Dan said, we have to split your salary. And then they found out that was illegal. So one of them insane. Called the Writers Guild, and they were like, yeah, that's illegal. Dan found out that somebody had called. He threatened them like, you will never work in Nickelodeon or Viacom again. And they kind of denied that they had spoke to the Writers Guild, because obviously they wanted to keep their jobs. But then they both went through other things that caused them to leave Nickelodeon. One of the women spoke about the fact they were in a room together, and Dan Snyder said like, what would be funny if you told us, she was telling a story, if you told us that story and acted like you were getting sodomized, like at the table, and made her, basically she like felt pressure from the room to do it. So she did. And she was like, I feel like, even saying that I did do that. And then, the other woman who spoke, she talked about a time where Dan called all the male writers into the room, didn't invite her into the room, and then later on invited her into the room and just said, like, didn't you used to do like phone sex or like something like that? And she said she walked out and immediately quit because she just couldn't take it anymore. She ended up suing Dan Schneider. They settled. And she said, like, she was like, I thought that if I did this, it could stop. She was like, I knew there was a chance I wouldn't work again, but if it could stop whatever else is happening here, I would be happy with that. And she goes, and to find out that it didn't stop is just fucking sucks, because she did that like knowing she wouldn't work anymore, thinking that it would stop what was going on, because they settled and it didn't stop. It just continued. The stuff with Amanda Bynes is,
I mean, he got away with so much, and because there are obviously like one-on-one stories, but it's just like the environment and the creative environment that they had made for some of these shows that was just so inappropriate for like so many people, and whether they realize it in the moment or they realize it looking back, it's just like it's just creepy.
It's incredibly creepy. I mean, even the like, it's kind of crazy that this man, Dan Schneider, like still to this day is just like roaming around and like there's just the stories they seem endless. They obviously talked about Amanda Bynes, and it's so sad to see the clips of Amanda Bynes, 11 years old, performing at the Laugh Factory, doing a stand-up routine, and you're like, the talent that this little girl had and continued to have, and how it went downhill. It's like, it's just eerie. It's creepy. They talk, it's a lot of people talking about the relationship Amanda Bynes and Dan Schneider had, but not Amanda Bynes herself.
Right.
So it is kind of hard to speak
to comment on it,
and it's hard to
she's never spoken about
it. So it's hard to be like, this is how Amanda Bynes
and you don't
feels.
want to make an assumption that
And there were other people that were like, yeah, it was weird that like they spent a lot of time alone, and he would, he made the Amanda Show, and he would put himself in the hot tub with Amanda Bynes, and like, it's just disgusting. All of it is really disgusting. Also, other people who were on All That spoke out. Brian Hearn, he was on All That. I don't know how long he was on for, but he talked about the racism that went on behind the scenes there too. Like, somebody, when they were trying to figure out what he would wear, they referred to his skin as charcoal, and like, he in that moment knew that was obviously very wrong. They did very stereotypical characters for him. He played a drug dealer, and like, people, their eyebrows went up a little bit, like, really, we're gonna do for this young kid. So he spoke about that. Like, there was just so much that went on behind the scenes that it seems
toxic,
real, just awful. And I feel so bad for the kids that went through this, and the adults as well that spoke up and got kind of shunned off set. Like, that's also crazy, because there are laws about having parents on set, and there were some, I forgot exactly who said in this documentary, that like, once they got past a certain point on set, that the parents weren't allowed past a certain point. And I'm like, how did they get away with that? Because like, I thought the parents literally had to be like in the room at all times. And I guess if the parents are standing there going, yeah, that's fine, then like, they're probably like, they probably just it's kids programming, like they trust that whatever. And this unfortunate shit happened. Like, they were talking about like just gross things all around. I just couldn't even wrap my head around it. It's just all very unsettling, and just opens up a whole other conversation for all these kids networks and all the shows we grew up watching.
Yep, definitely. I mean, it was just you would hope like that has changed, and there's been other, shows that have said that they didn't have any issues like this. But there was clearly a culture around that specific time period of shows that were being made with these people in charge.
Yeah. And just even like the two women who spoke about being writers on the Amanda Show, and they were like, we thought this is so amazing that this young girl is getting a sketch comedy show about her. Like it's very rare that would happen.
Yeah.
And they thought like a bunch of amazing women would be working on the show, and come to find out that it was just them two with all male writers, and they have to split their salary.
That's crazy.
Is so fucked.
Crazy.
Like all the male writers get their own salary, but you two, you're not worthy enough. You got to split it.
And the star is an 11-year-old girl.
Right. Like, oh my God. It's just awful. I feel so bad for everybody who's involved.
Yeah.
But also very, I applaud their courage to come forward and talk about it, because it is very scary to come forward and talk about something that could jeopardize your career. They even said themselves that they lost jobs and just to come forward. So I applaud them as well. By the way, update. The Hollywood Reporter sat down with Dan Schneider to address the allegations and the stories of abuse from the documentary. We're recording right now, so we have not had time to watch this. It's 20 minutes. It seems like this video we will watch. And
is it like the whole video is out already?
The whole video is out right now.
Wow.
So I guess people will watch that and see what he has to say.
If this is just like a 20-minute Hollywood Reporter video and there's not like a bigger story behind it, I imagine he's not really going to have... Like, I feel like it would be like the excuse train a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Do you ever wish you could call a foul on your wireless carrier for all their hidden fees? Then it's time to switch to Visible. Switch to Visible, the wireless company with nothing to hide, and get one-line wireless with unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon. Just $25 a month, every month, taxes and fees included. One-line wireless, just $25 a month, taxes and fees included. Visible is the wireless company with nothing to hide. No hidden fees, no gotchas, unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon. Don't let hidden fees stop you from being a fan of wireless. Switch to Visible and save. Switch now at Visible.com. You can rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. To move on to something a little bit lighter, it was announced that Travis Kelce is going to be hosting the new reboot of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader on Prime Video. And I will be watching.
Absolutely. I actually love Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
I did too. When I was younger, I really loved that show.
And that's
although I think I was like closer to that age when it came out.
Right. No, definitely. Who was the original host? Jeff Foxworthy? Was that Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
That sounds right.
Right? I think that's right. But yeah, this is just Travis, I feel like would do such a great job at this. And I don't know if it's official, but it says like he's in talks to host Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader reboot for Amazon Prime. And Travis like getting into hosting just makes sense, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just a path that he will go down for sure.
And I feel like this is like a funny, goofy hosting role for him. I'm surprised it didn't go to Jason Kelce because of his retirement.
Right. He's got more time. Travis is, I mean,
more of the pole.
Travis is the bit. I don't know if I would say more charismatic. I was just going to say he's the bigger star.
Is. I don't think it's an insult at Jason Kelce.
No.
They just have different personalities. Like,
I actually think
he's not the one dancing around like, I
don't know. I'd actually argue Jason's a little more charismatic.
It probably depends on what your definition of charismatic is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
If we're just talking like showman.
That's what I think. Like his the way he dresses, the way he talks.
Like, I mean, if we're gonna talk like showman, like he's a bit. Travis is like a walking WWE character.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Which I think I don't know. That's what I think of when I'm like,
It fits.
Yeah,
the hosting role for
charisma is different. I think.
Yeah, it just really depends on what your definition of charisma is. Can be for different things, but this will be funny. I'm definitely interested in watching.
I am too. And it sounds like, I mean, granted, I'm sure it's going to be made for kids, but
right, it'll be made for kids, but we'll tune in.
Yes,
we will watch. Hey, I don't even know if it was that much made for kids. Like when my parents watched Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't. I guess because we just watched it when we were
probably
kids.
just watch it when we were kids because our parents were watching, and then you want to be like,
right. I mean, the whole premise is for adults to see if they're
smarter than
a fifth grader.
Exactly. So I guess it is for now.
Yeah.
It'll be for us to watch and see if we can get the questions right.
Yeah.
Moving on.
That would be a good show to get to go on.
Yeah, it would be. Aaron Taylor Johnson, it seems like he has been offered the role of James Bond. This has been going on for years now, where people have been like, who is going to be the next Bond? And I think people are happy with this choice if it is him.
I think so too. I've not really seen too much criticism. I know his name has been thrown around a lot for this. And I will say, after I saw Bullet Train,
yes,
yeah,
I was like, this guy's got it.
Yeah,
I mean, he always
you
has,
felt like
and
that
he's
was
so
his
great.
audition for it.
I really did. I felt like that was a James Bond audition, where I was like, he can do like the action movie in the full like tuxedo.
You know
type
who'd be
vibe.
really good? Theo in The Gentleman.
Theo
James. I think he would be really good. I'm watching The Gentleman, but
Yeah, he would be good too. This did come from The Sun, but it is the rumor that he is expected to take claim of this role. The outlet reported that insiders say Taylor Johnson will sign the contract this week after he was formally offered the role. A source told The Sun, Bond is Aaron's job should he wish to accept it. The formal offer is on the table and they're just waiting to hear back. I don't know why he wouldn't do it, but you never know. But I just feel like this is
a
like
big commitment.
It is. It definitely is. It definitely is, and it's big shoes to fill for sure. James Bond is a beloved character, but I think he would be really good. I think he's got the chops for it.
Do you think there have been people who have turned down the role because they feel like they can't live up to it? Like, remember when Charlie Hunnam turned down the role in 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah.
Because he felt like he didn't want to disappoint anybody, which is kind of crazy because like Charlie Hunnam, there's no way you would have disappointed us.
Yeah. I do agree.
That was one of the more wild things when like everyone was so excited when Charlie Hunnam was cast for 50 Shades.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, Charlie Hunnam didn't want the pressure.
James Bond though is like another level of like, there's been so many, but even more than like Batman, like there's different Batmans. Like I feel like that's not a big thing anymore, but James Bond, it's like,
and of course,
if you're
like,
James Bond, you're James Bond. Like,
right.
Yeah. Own it. Take
you're
it
gonna be
and own
James,
it.
like he'll be James Bond for the next
James
like
Bond
15, 20 years if he's
right. And you're also just James Bond forever. Like, and I do think, I mean, there have been plenty of different James Bond actors, but I would say a majority of the men who take on the 007 role,
that's what you're known for.
But I'm saying they do a great job.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone has their criticisms. You have your favorites, or you're Sean Connery, or you're Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan. You go even farther than that. But I feel like he just fits the mold of a James Bond.
Remember when Daniel Craig was like, I'd rather like slit my wrist than do that again, and then they gave him so much money that he did it.
Yeah, he really didn't want to make that last one. He really did not want to make the last two. I mean, it's probably it's exhausting, I'm sure.
But they're also really good movies. Like
they are fantastic movies, but certain actors, they probably want to shed that.
Yeah.
Because they know, like I think Daniel Craig knew, like if I keep doing James Bond movies, I am only James Bond forever, and it makes doing other stuff harder.
Right, you have to be at a point in your career where I think you're like, okay, I'm ready to be.
You're ready to be James Bond for life.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino was like almost gonna direct one of them, the James Bond movies,
no,
but
I
then
didn't know
didn't. It would be interesting if they got like a different director.
Yeah, that would take. I feel like it would take a turn if Quentin Tarantino.
It would certainly be a little,
a lot of blood.
By the way, did you guys see the rumors that Shane Gillis was going to be in the next Quentin Tarantino movie?
He's the star of his last movie, is what the rumors are.
Because it's the movie critic movie. It's the movie about a movie critic, the Quentin Tarantino last movie, and people. There's been rumors that Shane Gillis is playing the movie critic,
like the lead,
and I weirdly think that he fits this role of like movie critic.
I mean, I think like I could easily see Quentin Tarantino being the type of guy who like watches Shane's sketches and is like, "This guy's great."
I
like,
know
I'm gonna
nothing
cast him.
about this.
The movie, the movie critic movie.
Yeah.
Let me look up the exact.
I don't really know the details
wanna,
about the movie itself, but it is like his last. He's always said he's gonna do 10 movies and that's it, and this would be his 10th.
This would be 10.
And people are saying,
yeah, it's called The Movie Critic. I'm pretty sure Brad Pitt has already been cast in it. Let me go to the IMDb. Yeah. Brad Pitt and then Paul Walter Hauser. So he actually looks like he could be the movie critic.
I was gonna say my guess would be maybe he would be
the movie critic.
He's great.
So IMDb just put out an article yesterday. Shane Gillis, a star in Quentin Tarantino, is the movie critic? ? So a handful of names have circled the role, like Paul Walter Hauser, but that one fell apart due to last year's industry strikes. Okay, so he's on the IMDb, but apparently it fell apart.
Not confirmed.
Now the latest is Shane Gillis. Of course, nothing has been confirmed. Imagine Shane Gillis is the star of Quentin Tarantino's next movie. Good for him if that is.
That would be that would be
fucking amazing.
That would really be huge.
He's never even been in a movie, right?
Like a
legit
been in shows.
movie. Yeah,
I don't know if he's been in like a movie.
Yeah.
But that would be amazing. Like that would be just unreal. If Quentin Tarantino's like, yep, Shane Gillis is my guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Damn.
You know who Quentin Tarantino said his favorite actor or the best actor of the 2000s is? It's like such a surprising answer. Chris Pine. He said that like on a podcast.
Tarantino said that?
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, he's the greatest actor of like this generation." I'm like, "What?"
That's interesting.
I mean, he's a good actor.
He is, but like, I would think Tarantino would name one of the people that like he works with a lot.
Yeah.
Like Brad
has Chris
Pitt,
Pine
Leonardo
ever done
DiCaprio.
a Tarantino
I don't
movie?
think he has. And if you're Chris Pine, you would hear that, you're probably like, "What?"
Tarantino's like, I don't even want to work with him. He's so good.
Right. Please, I don't even want to be on the same set.
Chris Pine's like, my phone's never rang.
Yeah.
Quentin's never given me a phone call.
Quentin's like, I don't deserve to be in his presence.
It is funny because he seems like the guy who he just literally is obsessed with movies. Like all he does is watch movies. Like no matter what the type of like he probably watches like any movie that you guys watch. Like
Quentin Tarantino?
Like just like rom-coms.
He's watching Irish Wish on Netflix.
I honestly would not be surprised if you did.
Well, anyways, if that happens for Shane, then good for him. But also
that would be a
Aaron
big
Taylor
role.
Johnson
Big
is
role.
Bond. Also good for him.
Yes. Rumhaven is made with real coconut water and no artificial flavors or preservatives for clean, refreshing taste, not fake. You can't beat the taste of real coconut water. It's delicious, clean, and refreshing. Rumhaven believes that Mother Nature does it best. That's why Rumhaven is crafted with premium Caribbean rum and real coconut water. Enjoy Rumhaven straight over ice with a splash of club soda or your favorite juice. We're headed into some warmer months and, it's coming and going in New York. Some days it's cold, some days it's warm. But on a warm day, when you feel summer's just around the corner, you want to make yourself a nice tropical cocktail where you feel like you're transporting yourself on vacation, a nice rum drink. Rumhaven is delicious. I'll do a little Rumhaven with some cranberry juice and orange juice. Mix it all up. Delicious. You can find out where to pick up a bottle of Rumhaven for yourself by visiting rumhaven.com. That's rumhaven.com.
All right, let's get into The Bachelor. Bachelor Women Tell All was last night. We did invite Trent to do this recap, but he's unfortunately busy today. So
again,
we can't do the recap with him.
He's been very busy this month.
He has been. But we'll talk about it. It was the Women Tell All. And we did find out the answer to the note that Kelce left for Joey last episode. The Women Tell All obviously started off hot. We don't got to get into the part where Joey and they're like showing up at people's houses.
Watch parties?
Yeah. Watch parties, cool. I'm glad they did that. I did see some funny tweets of people being
Jesse was really having the time of his life at some of those parties.
Yeah, I saw people being like, oh, wow, they didn't crash in on me in my pajamas, sipping wine, watching The Bachelor, sad, all alone. But yeah, they do that. Like, it seems like a lot of the seasons now they do that. But we got right into it with the Maria drama and the rest of the girls. And I don't think Sydney knows what she's saying when she's saying it. That was my takeaway.
Yeah.
And also Leia throwing out gaslight. She threw that out there hoping it would stick, and it did not stick. And nobody was falling for it. And then immediately when they came back from break, it was like she was apologizing to Maria and she realized that maybe she threw the wrong term out there because was becoming apparent on this show and in general, that people throw words out that they don't even know what the use for the words are.
Right.
And they just say everybody's doing it. It's the same thing with narcissists now. Everybody's a narcissist. There are true narcissists out there. There definitely are. But people just hear a word and they run with it and they accuse everybody of being it or whatever. And I think Sydney, with the gaslighting on the show and then on her social media, Leia took that and was like, I'm going to use this now, when that just like was not really what was happening.
I felt like that whole conversation needed a much better moderator. No offense to Jesse, but I just felt like I don't know. I was interested in hearing that conversation and to really like get more into what had gone on, because honestly Sydney didn't even really talk that much. Like they didn't really address too much of those issues. I know a million like this has to get cut down a lot. They record for like 1 million hours and then they have to cut it down to 45 minutes basically of actual stuff. So I'm sure some things get cut, but anytime it just ends up with all the girls like kind of talking over each other and nobody's like stepping in to be like, hey, let her talk, like whatever. It was just like, oh, like, come on, guys. Like there's no constructive conversation. They did try and they obviously got to a resolution and they all hugged it out when Maria got her time on the hot seat, as they say. But I felt like there was a conversation that Maria and Sydney needed to have that probably should have made air that didn't.
Yeah, I also feel like they did keep cutting Sydney off.
Yeah.
Which was unfair to her, but also extremely frustrating coming from Maria's side to hear Sydney talk and like you hear like you're like she's lying, and so you do cut her off.
Yep.
But then she's not getting to speak. So I see kind of both there. Although I think Maria did a fantastic job of like holding her own. I hope that she is the Bachelorette, because I feel like she's unpolished and she's herself and she's not trying to be this buttoned up version of herself. She's just unapologetically herself. And
yeah,
she
I agree.
Talks the way she wants to talk and she acts the way she wants to act. And I think she would make for a great Bachelorette and like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But it did seem like the girls, they all made amends. In that situation, it's like, why not? Like, what are we fighting about here?
Right.
Let's all just make up. Who really cares about this? None of us are with Joey. So
They normally always do.
right. They're like, none of us are with him. None of us got it. So why don't we all just throw our hands up in the air and make up? We did see, Jess, she went up there to talk about her time with Joey. I didn't realize how strong of a connection they maybe had when I was watching Jess talk about it. Jen, sorry. See, very confusing. Jen. I didn't realize that the connection that they had was so strong.
Yeah.
But hearing her talk about it, I was like, oh, wow, they did have a genuine connection, because she was like really emotional about it. And I think it just goes to show that this season favored certain people in editing, which always happens, but I kind of felt that way with like the connections here, because I was like, I didn't even realize their connection was that strong.
Yeah, I mean, it really could. Joey still, it just feels like Joey just has done a great job, even, not to skip ahead, but even when he was talking to Rachel, and Rachel was just like, our relationship like gave me my confidence back. Like all these really amazing compliments that she had for Joey and their time together, and how it really affected her and how she felt about herself in a positive way. Was so sweet and so nice, and it really none of them have a bad word to say about Joey. That's for sure.
And Lexi as well, talking about her endometriosis and everything, and how she felt like no guy had ever given her the reaction that Joey did.
And Joey said he wanted to have a little care package.
It's so sweet, like
a care kit right for her.
It seemed like he really showed his care for each woman there, which was really nice to see. My heart absolutely broke for Rachel when she broke down to talk about the hate that she's been receiving on social media. You can
really
tell
people are vile.
They really are, and it's just fucking sickening, and it will never make sense to me what goes through people's head to not only say those things about her, one, absolutely disgusting, but then to also say it about her family who like are her and her family are being vulnerable by showing themselves on the show, and then you're gonna send that kind of hate. Is just, I don't know what goes through people's heads.
It's really just like a sick, deep-rooted racism. It's like because really that's why else are they going for her? You know?
Right. It's so disgusting, and my heart like absolutely broke for her because you can see the pain and damage that it caused her. I mean, she was like hysterical crying. It seemed like she wanted to like hyperventilate at some points to even get the words out on why this was hurting her so much. And I felt so sorry for her. Like my heart absolutely broke for her in those moments. And she seems like an amazing girl. And the way that her family spoke about wanting her to find her love and like what had happened to her in the past, like I thought was all nice. And I just felt so bad.
It's just so sad because I feel like the show and filming the show and coming out of the show was it really felt like even though it didn't work out, it was a positive process for her. And to have this kind of negative, disgusting reaction to her it's really unfortunate, and it's really sad. And it's just like, you know, it's whether, I don't know what the proper word here is to use for like maybe it's a naivete. Like there's just something where, you know, I had seen that people were saying Rachel was getting hate after her one-on-one date, and I mean her hometown. Yeah. And I was like, what really could they have picked apart during that date? Like it was such a great, and I didn't even think like, oh my God, now hearing her say it, she's like, there was like the racist commentary I was getting back, especially after my hometowns. I was like, that is so sad. Right. That they are watching her family and they just only have negative things to say about her family because of the, you know, her heritage, the way she looks. Like it's just sick.
It really is. And they're so blinded by that that they can't just like objectively watch a show. And because we did talk about that, because we were like, what was wrong with the
I was like, hometown? I was like, Rachel seems to be getting hate from the hometown, but what, like, it really seemed like a nice hometown. Right. And you know, it was obviously just a deep-rooted social media hatred from people watching the show.
Right. I felt so bad for her when she was on stage talking about that. But
and she had a sad goodbye with Joey, and I felt like, you know, they were able to still have a good conversation, and she could understand, and they knew. You know, Joey said like how hard this is going to be in this moment with the rose ceremony and everything. And it, as much as we did kind of see that potentially coming, you know, just from the last episode, he told Daisy and Kelce he was falling in love with them. He didn't tell Rachel. So it just kind of makes sense that it would have been Rachel. And, you know, and then like I said, to hear them talk afterwards, it was like, they're good.
Right.
You guys know Rhea and I are in the thick of it. We are wedding planning. We are excited. And with Zola, you can plan your entire wedding in one convenient place, from free planning tools like a customizable checklist and website to a venue and vendor discovery tool that matches you with your dream team. Everything on Zola is designed to make your wedding journey as easy as possible. And with invites that are fun to create and a wedding registry packed with gifts you actually want, Zola takes you from save our date to thanks so much without breaking a sweat. There's even a 5-star app that helps you plan on the go. Zola makes wedding planning easy and stress-free. They're the first and only stop you need to make on your wedding planning journey. They've thought of everything you'll need and have built every tool to get you to I do, including customized checklists to get you moving, keep you on track, and prepare you for what's next. They'll give you expert guidance and unparalleled support. Their wedding pros are on call to walk couples from question to answer anytime. Their products and tools are built for you. They help couples plan the wedding they really want with tons of unique features and personalized recommendations based on a couple's preferences. Every Zola wedding is as unique as the couple planning it. So start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com. Zola.com.
Do you see that they keep editing the way Joey is giving out the roses?
Yeah.
They keep making it seem like he's giving Daisy the rose first, but he's actually giving Kelce the rose first.
They do it again?
They did it again last night.
Oh my God, that thought came into my head as I was watching. Last night. And I didn't go back and rewind. I thought Kelce did not have a rose in her hand. She did again.
When they flashed to Joey, him giving his rose to Kelce, there's 2 roses on the table.
Oh.
To then pick up the rose and give it to
So
Kelce.
you're saying he hadn't given his rose to Daisy
He hadn't give
yet.
his rose to Daisy yet. Daisy's been getting them second.
Yeah.
But he's been giving them Kelce first, and they've been changing the editing the last 2 weeks to make it seem like Daisy's getting the first rose, but then they're forgetting in the cut that you could see the roses on the table.
Right. And then, of course, in the preview for the finale, like, there's like an ominous line of Daisy being like, something just like doesn't feel right, or like something she says something like that. I don't know. The we need to talk note from Kelce was really not an issue. Okay, so here's the thing for me. This is such like meddling producer bullshit in my mind because, and you could tell from the way Kelce was talking about it afterwards, she was like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't have worded it that way, like blah, blah, blah. It's because that wasn't her choice to word it that way. I would bet my life on it. Now, she may not be able to say that ever, but there's no world, I think, that Kelce would in her mind be like, oh, like I just really miss Joey. I really want to talk to him. I really want to see him, and would write him a note that just says, we need to talk. Like, she wouldn't do, like, no one would do that if it was for a positive reason. And I feel like they just wanted to stir something up and to have like I think they're using Joey's vulnerabilities that he has outwardly spoken about in order to make good television, which is, what they do on reality TV is expose people's vulnerabilities. And Joey has said a million times his biggest fear is somebody leaving him, and they're like, how could we make Joey feel like somebody's leaving him without actually leaving him?
Mm-hmm. Absurd.
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd. When I found out that it was just because Kelce missed him.
He's like, just wanted to see you, boo.
Because the way that they were talking about it, she was like, I can't keep anything from him, blah, blah, blah. Like there was some secret that was going to come out.
It was just ridiculous. That was like, that was so manipulative. I really like, that screamed some sort of producer interference.
Absolutely. I don't think Kelsey's writing him a note to say, we need to talk, just so she could be like, by the way, like, I miss you. Like, absolutely absurd.
If I had to guess, a producer is like, yes, we will give you extra time with Joey that no one else is going to get. Valuable one-on-one time. I'm writing the note, and you have to deal with whatever I write on it. I was shocked, but not shocked.
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, they're throwing this on the end of the Women Tell All episode. Can't be anything crazy.
I know. And then I felt so bad for Joey because he was so rattled. He was like visibly like,
They are fucking with Joey's emotions.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
They are fucking with his emotions. But excited for the finale next week. And that wraps up the Women Tell All recap. I can't believe it.
I really I'm so excited for the finale. What happens?
I know. I'm excited for the finale too. I can't wait.
Him getting into that car all by his lonesome?
I hope not. That won't be good for him.
Oh, man.
That won't be good for Joey.
It's just like they're really selling the story that nobody picks him. And I'm like, I just feel like they're giving so much away in the preview that there has to be something else, Because it would be so unlike the Bachelor franchise to have that preview be like, oh, ominous Rose left sitting. He's leaving in a truck. Like, he's like, I can't, like, when has that ever happened? And then, like, for that to actually be what would happen, I'd be surprised. So we'll see.
We will see, and I'm excited to find out. All right, that wraps up today's episode of Chicks in the Office. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you at the show tomorrow. If you're coming to the show, make sure you bring your signs. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you on Friday.